I have a massive scandal to tell you about, and because of everything that's going on and just the way the news cycle works, this is not going to get even 5% of the attention that it deserves, but this is a huge scandal. This is one of those stories that should be blowing up everywhere, but because of our media ecosystem and sort of what determines what goes viral, I think a lot of people are never going to hear this, but this is nutty stuff. Trump's been out there claiming that pregnant women risk giving their kids autism if they take Tylenol. Now, this was not like Trump ranting at a rally. They did a press conference. They had Dr. Oz and Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. standing behind Donald Trump. The White House is now pushing it as official health guidance. His FDA commissioner stood at the press conference and said, yes, pregnant women should avoid Tylenol. But the entire claim was built on sand. And we found out that the scientist, the one scientist that Trump's team is leaning on, was paid $150,000 to testify against the manufacturer of Tylenol. This is like an alarms blaring red alert scandal, but it's not really getting much attention. Now, before I even tell you what happened, I think it is important to remind you that we have seen a whole bunch of actual studies that completely contradict the idea that moms taking Tylenol makes kids autistic. We have seen autism diagnosis rates go up as Tylenol consumption has gone down in certain countries. We don't even see a correlation between countries where more Tylenol is taken and autism rates. We have all of these reasons to believe that what Donald Trump said is bogus. But put all of that aside for a moment. The Harvard scientist that the Trump White House is leaning on, Dr. Andrea Baccarelli, was paid $150,000 to testify in a class action lawsuit against Tylenol's manufacturer. He admitted that under oath. And the outcome is that a federal judge threw out his testimony, saying it's unreliable, it's incomplete, it's misleading, it is not designed to enlighten, but it is designed to obfuscate. In other words, it is not what we would call objective science. It's junk science that, when scrutinized, collapsed. But instead of moving on from a debunked courtroom expert, the same testimony was repackaged into a review paper. The paper is what Trump's FDA commissioner is now citing as evidence, and it quotes Baccarelli directly as if he's some kind of unimpeachable authority. So understand again, Baccarelli's paid $150,000 to testify in a class action lawsuit against Tylenol. The judge says this testimony is unreliable. They take the testimony, repackage it into a paper, and say, here's why we believe Tylenol causes autism, and here's why the White House is now saying don't take Tylenol. It is not science. It is recycling rejected arguments and dressing them up as new findings. Now, meanwhile, the actual scientific record, as I already told you, points the other way. The biggest, most rigorous study that we have, 2.5 million children in Sweden, found no causal link between Tylenol consumed by pregnant women and autism. And when researchers looked at siblings, one exposed to maternal Tylenol during pregnancy and one not, the supposed link between Tylenol and autism disappeared. That's how you would know it is other factors, not Tylenol. Now, Baccarelli's paper cherry-picked smaller studies, some of which didn't even measure symptoms of autism. I mean, that's how sick this entire thing is. And other scientists have looked at this and said, this is completely biased. This is me now editorializing. It sounds similar to what the disbarred Dr. Andrew Wakefield did with his infamous MMR vaccine autism paper, which I hesitate to even call it a paper. It's been completely retracted. And so over 250 autism researchers have now put out a public statement saying the claims from Donald Trump are alarming to them. The data doesn't support them. And when you push this idea, you're giving people fear without really giving answers to families. The bigger question to me is, why is this administration so obsessed with autism? Because for Trump's long history of flirting with the anti-vax stuff, we've now seen it combined with RFK and repackaged into this obsession with autism, where they claim they're finally going to get us a definitive answer, but it doesn't really seem like they're interested in the truth. It doesn't really seem like they're interested in science. They're interested in weaponizing autism as a talking point, no matter how misleading this is, because it gets attention and it plays into the distrust of medicine, and it plays into distrust of vaccines as well. In this case, they're focusing on Tylenol, but often the focus has been vaccination. So the bottom line here is a guy who was paid six figures to mislead a court per the court is now shaping health policy under Donald Trump. This is really a scandal of the first order. And the fact that this is not dominating headlines makes it even more dangerous. And we actually now have even more reason to be suspicious of what Donald Trump has said, which is that Dr. Oz himself is taking a step back and basically saying you should do what was already the medical advice. Let's discuss that.